Hey, what's up, Street Gods? The Eric from the Eric Street Photography blog. So, I want to give you guys a brief overview of the ProCreate app on the iPad and how you can essentially use this tool as a way to create more dope pictures and better understand your composition. So, first and foremost, you could see some pictures that I've taken of my own and I've drawn on top of it. And the biggest benefit of doing this is that after the fact, I'm able to analyze my compositions and figure out what works in my pictures and what doesn't work in my pictures. So if you click the top right corner, you can essentially see how to trace the woman, the lines in the background, and the leading lines here. And if I just hide the background layer, you could essentially see the abstracted version of my image. That here's the woman placed, here are the leading lines, here are the background images. So if I ever want to save the images in the toolbar in the top left corner, click there, click save as JPEG. That's cool. Or if I just want the leading lines, to save the image as a JPEG. And another example of this picture here, you could see the original image of a man just in a silhouette. But if you want to see the strong leading line here, his outline, the lines in the background, the building in the background, or if I just hide all of this, this is essentially an abstraction of the image. So anyways, this is just like a few of my brief images in terms of, looking at the picture, then trying to analyze the picture after the fact and figure out why an image works. So the reason why I think that photographers all should learn how to draw is that it gives you an opportunity to analyze your compositions and learn how to become a better visual artist. So the way you guys could do this is, first of all, on your iPad, just go to Photos and try to find an image or, a certain picture that you personally like that you think deserves some sort of analysis and trying to figure out, essentially why it works. So, for example, I really like this picture of this man who looks like he's stomping on me. So if I choose this image in the top right corner where there's a little share button, I'll click that, click add to ProCreate. And then what I do afterwards is I click the home button, click the ProCreate app. And then if I go to my gallery, all the way at the top, you can see this image which has been imported. So usually what I do is I just kind of pinch out. Top right corner where there's a layers button, I'll click plus. And in the bottom right corner where it says background color, I click that, drag to the bottom right corner to make it totally black. And then you could see that in the top right corner, I pressed layer to create a new layer. So in terms of analyzing this composition, so in the top right corner, I currently have the primary colors, yellow, red, blue, gray. And let's say I'll use blue for the background image. So I'll press a little paintbrush thing. And I'll create a new layer and essentially adjust the brush in the top left corner. And I'll just start to draw the outline of the man in the background as a better way of thinking, how much of him fills the frame and essentially what about this subject here makes the picture more effective. So I'm just kind of outlining that. And let's say I'll just outline this, and you could be as precise and you could just essentially freestyle it. And in the top right corner, often what I like to do is I'll hide the bottom layer 1 so you could just see the outline of the guy. And what I'll do then is create another new layer in the top right corner. And let's say I'll make this yellow. So I'll just kind of pinch and zoom. And then just for fun, I'll just kind of outline these little shapes and these little forms in his foot. And the reason I like this is that it kind of helps you zoom in and see exactly what makes your pictures tick. So I didn't actually realize this until I did this, but I guess this guy was wearing a pair of Doc Martens, and the way I was able to make the picture was, I said, "Oh yeah, excuse me, sir, and I shot this in Tokyo. Do you pretend like you're stepping on top of me?" And he said, "Yeah, sure." I didn't actually, and he was wearing a pair of really badass Doc Martens, and I didn't realize the pattern on the bottom of the shoe is actually this powerful, because if I try to think of myself training my visual eye, there's these nice little triangles and there's nice little diamond shapes on the bottom of his shoe. And the more I like to trace my own images or trace the images of the master artists or photographers in the past, it helps me better deconstruct and analyze my images and figure out why exactly they work and how I could use these tools to improve my photography. So that's the outer edge. And once again, I could hide the layer 1. So this is essentially an abstraction of the original image. Here's just the foot. Here's just the foot with the person, and I'll bring them back. Now what I'll do is I'll create another layer, and I'll choose the red color. And yeah, let's see, like, what else do I find interesting? I like these little crosses here. And also the nice thing about like being able to trace your pictures is that it's just kind of fun. It kind of reminds you of when you used to be a kid. And the more we could train ourselves to think visually, the better. And you could probably ask yourself, why did I choose these colors, red, yellow, and blue? The primary colors, I'm actually really inspired by the painter and artist Piet Mondrian. And this is just like the basic colors that he's been using. So I'm like, hey, why don't I just, essentially steal his color palette and use this to apply to my pictures. And one thing I could also do too is, if I hide all the layers, you could see on the right corner here, there's the shoe missing. So if I wanted to add another layer, click layer 1, press plus, and underneath the layer, I could essentially choose a gray color. I'll bring back the layer here. I'm only going to trace his foot now, his shoe. And the reason I'm doing this is to once again graphically represent what exactly is going on in this scene. In the backgrounds, you could also see that there's these nice leading lines. Maybe I could draw that. So one cool thing you could do in ProCreate is click and hold one corner and then drag, and then you wait, and then the lines become straight. Click and hold. And you can see these lines here in the background are actually really important because they create the perspective of the image. So I'm pretty much done, top right corner. And what I could do is I could just save this trace here. And I usually save them as JPEGs. Then I'll press the top right corner and hide the layer, click plus, JPEG, save image, to essentially get a sense of my image. I actually think the lines will look a little bit ugly, so I'll hide layer 5 to just make it more minimalist. Press plus, JPEG, save image, and bada bing, bada boom. Go back to gallery. You could go to the photos and see all the way at the bottom all these different images that I've created with the ProCreate app. So I think that all photographers should learn how to essentially sketch and draw their images for fun. And usually what I like to do on my blog is open up Safari, go to the upload module, and I'll just upload all these pictures to my blog because I like to use this as a way to illustrate my art concepts. I just kind of select these ones I like and click done. And yeah, so to once again reiterate, I think that all photographers would benefit learning how to trace your own pictures. You don't need to use an iPad. You could do this on a piece of paper. You could do this manually in an analog process. Personally, I'm a big fan of using the iPad because at this point, the iPad is pretty much my primary device to do all my computing. As a pro life hack, I like to do all my writing and my drawing while I'm standing up, because when I feel like I'm standing, I'm actually a lot more active and a lot more engaged in the art that I'm creating. And also, when you guys are thinking of your photography, don't just think of yourself as photographers, think of yourselves as visual artists, and then this will help elevate you and take your photography to the next level. All right, thanks a lot for watching, guys. For more inspiration and dopeness, Google Eric Kim blog. Oops, looks like I'm offline for some reason. And find inspiration. Peace out.